it's easy to do, like not ever care about what, only don't care about other people, don't be empathic, be grandiose. But like I couldn't do that. I have to say more than a few opportunities.
How do you
in my
know
life.
you're not one? How and why should I believe you?
Because you can see I'm probably too empathic at times. I'm not entitled. I'm the person who
I know,
will
but
say,
you can't just say that.
I live it. If you spent a day with me, I'd say, if you track someone for a 24-hour period, you'd have a real good handle on it. It's like more than a few.
How do you know you're not one? How and why should I believe you?
Because you can see.
How do you know you're not one? How and why should I believe you?
Because
How and why should I believe you?
The narcissistic person does not think that what they're doing is a problem. And in fact, they have a really distorted sense of self-appraisal. They think they're great. Many narcissistic people walk around saying, I'm so empathic. But that's because the narcissistic person has, again, almost a delusional lack of insight into who they are. If you don't know what needs to be changed, how are you going to change it?
Yeah, when I was reading your book and you were listing off the characteristics, I was thinking about myself, like I'm a narcissist,
Oh, interesting.
Should they stay single?
In my ideal, utopic, mentally healthy universe, they actually would. And we'd come up with robot partners for them to have sex with. And wouldn't that be a great alternate universe? So they weren't wrecking other, or they'd all mate with each other.
Or they just have,
other narcissists. But I don't want them to have kids because they'd destroy their kids because then there'd be no one offering the kids empathy. So if we could sort of put them in some sort of island where they don't breed, but they're together.
I believe that there is a mass delusion going on. And it's stemming from these types of videos and this type of quote unquote research on narcissistic personality disorder. I think that it is incredibly destructive to society because it's teaching people to label and dehumanize and hate those that they're in conflict with and immediately go to the extreme by labeling them a narcissist, a lost cause that can't be fixed, and cutting them out of your life. This is so destructive to relationships, which are so important, especially when it comes to families, parents and children, and husband and wife. The thing is, you will completely lose touch with reality whilst in conflict with somebody else. You will forget about all the great things that they've done, all the nice things or sacrifices that they've made for you, and instead, you will see the relationship through a lens that is clouded by your own emotions. So when you look at that person, you will think that they are the ones that are making you feel this way purposely, and that because of that, they must be evil. They're bad. Everything's bad. Everything nice that they did was a manipulation. None of it was real. But this is real now. If you were tricked into believing that they were actually good, caring people, maybe actually you were tricked into believing that they're not actually good, caring people, and your mind is messing with you. And by getting this confirmation through these videos, it's just further digging you into a deeper hole of isolation and making it so that you're not able to relate with other people the way that you should. So when two people are in conflict, then likely you're making them feel bad. And so they're turning around and doing the same thing back to you. And it's just a cycle back and forth, back and forth. There's no way to fix this at this point because two people are stuck in their ways and nobody's willing to actually be a leader in the relationship of what it looks like to be humble. Anything in life that's worth anything takes work. And so it's easy to be angry and it's easy to just walk away and it's easy to try to get back at somebody. It's really, really hard to look at yourself and admit what you have done wrong and how you have hurt other people, and to focus on that rather than focus on what you think you know about other people. So I just want to use this conversation as a example of how somebody who hates narcissism and narcissists so bad can actually become what they hate when they think that they're dealing with somebody that's, a quote unquote bad person, when in fact that person may actually be a great person and you actually may be the type of person that you hate so much. that actually might be yourself.
Like this personality thing, nobody's talking about. We talk about depression, we talk about substance abuse, we talk about anxiety, but nobody talks about the elephant in the room, which is personality. From there on, I couldn't unsee it. It was happening on airplanes and at hotel check-in desks and at Starbucks, and I thought, oh, we have a problem. Stone cold honest with you, Andrew. Narcissism is a recipe for success. You show me a single CEO or world leader who's not a narcissist, and I'll give you $1.
Bill Gates?
Bill Gates probably had enough. He actually really squelched and crushed his competitors when Microsoft was coming up.
Well, that's just normal business.
Is it?
So here you can see that this Dr. Ramani, I believe her name is being challenged by this interviewer named Andrew. And it seems to me that she has a lot of contempt for him because of the fact that he's challenging her. And you will see how she begins to manipulate the conversation in order to subtly and covertly put him down. And it's very manipulative and cunning.
I must say that Bill Gates and his wife have donated inordinate amount of sums to charity, a lot of which is doing good works. He's clearly had kids. We're not privy to the inside of his world, but I will say that in order for a Bill Gates or a Steve Jobs or a George Soros or any of these people to have become what they became, they had to have a fair amount of grandiosity. They did. Steve Jobs had to have that vision that no one else did to make Apple. Now, that grandiosity, it's almost like the human spirit is where there's a lot of trade-offs, right? When there's a lot of grandiosity, other things have to give. You almost have to have, that vision has to encompass and consume you. So in that way, I have friends who are narcissists.
Dr. Ramani is trying to make an argument and she won't admit when she's wrong. And instead of continuing on with her conversation, I believe she tries to change the subject, and in that, she makes a Freudian slip where she says that when people are trying to have power, there's a trade-off. And in that way, and then she begins to say, I have friends who I use as pawns in my back pocket like objects. And if I don't want to have anything to do with them, then I just ignore them. And if they call me, I can't be bothered by them. But then I just use them for parties and stuff when I need more people to be there.
I have friends who are narcissists, and they serve a purpose in my life. They're smart, they're scintillating. I sure as hell would never go to them with a problem. And I wouldn't go to them at times when my life is vulnerable. So when I'm going through a rough patch, I'm not going to call them. I ain't going to return their calls. I can't be bothered.
You don't hang out with them?
Short periods of time. It's good always, when you have a party, you want a few narcissists there, keep the conversation going. They're definitely good to have in your back pocket for parties and other events. Narcissists view human relationships as conveniences. So in other words, it's like this cup. Right now, I like this cup because it's going to give me what I want to drink, okay? Very convenient, and I'm actually quite focused on it now. In 10 minutes, I'm not going to give this cup a second thought because I don't need it. That's how narcissists treat people.
I get that.
That's sort of the core of why it happens. It's just this disregard, and they just don't get it. But they think they love. I took you on vacation. I came to your sister's wedding.
Sounds like you're kind of labeling just self-confident people.
No, because self-confident people can be self-confident and still have empathy.
So once again, he is challenging her. And he says, So he's not falling for it. And then as soon as he says, you see, she begins to ramp up this very aggressive eye contact and mannerisms and demeanor. She is basically staring him down. And when he finally looks away in discomfort, you can clearly see the look on her face is that of satisfaction. She wants to make him uncomfortable for challenging her.
And not be entitled, and not be superficial, and not constantly be seeking admiration. Be seeking admiration.
A lot of these YouTube stars, you consider them narcissists?
Are you trying to get a free therapy session out of me, Andrew? They sense they're losing control of you. Their manipulations may become more cruel. It's almost like, you think you're getting away easy? Oh, hell no. It may be things like classical one. If you really do hold your ground against a narcissistic person, don't engage, you'll get a lot of Oh, so what's this? Are we in therapy now?
Free therapy session.
You got me.
You know what? Yes, I think some of them are, because
Especially vlogging.
For context, this guy is a vlogger, and she is quite aware of that.
Vlogging, it's so funny you say that. I was recently exposed to this concept of vlogging through my students. So I'm a university professor.
So this is a way that she can put herself up on a pedestal and make herself seem as though she has authority in what she's saying. And what she's actually saying is she's putting him down whilst simultaneously bolstering up herself.
University professor. And I remember looking at what they showed me, and my face was perplexed, and I went sort of offline to some students and privately I said, what did I just witness? They're like, oh doc, that's just vlogging. I'm like, this is completely self-referential, crazy validation seeking stuff. And they're like, yeah, I never heard it put that way, but they're like, yep.
She begins to triangulate and use other people, not just people, but university students who also agree with this. It's so that she can confirm and back up her stance with other people who aren't even part of the conversation. So everybody believes this, not just me. It's a lot of people. It's other professionals and university students believe what I'm saying, and then again uses the situation to confirm her grandiosity and to make herself look good. Well, they had no idea, but they were like, oh my gosh, I've never seen it that way. Wow, you're so intelligent. Yup, you're right. If you're a vlogger, then you're basically a piece of shit.
And it was literally this person was documenting moment by moment of their lives,
Yeah.
as though anybody would care.
She might as well be saying, why do you think anybody cares about what you're doing? Nobody cares about you. Nobody cares what you're doing. Nobody cares about your life. You think that people care? No, they don't.
Okay,
Who cares that? Who cares that?
So he is signaling to her very clearly, okay, yeah. Like, I've had enough. That's it. That's enough. I've been put down enough. It seems like I'm the similar type of person. I like to make fun of myself. I think it's funny when people make fun of me. But there is a point where that's enough. Okay, yeah, that's enough. And either she has no awareness of the situation or self-awareness of the way that she's, doing this, or she actually enjoys it and she wants to put him down and make him feel little because it makes her feel big.
Anybody would care.
Contemptuous, very dismissive, mockery. It would be sheer mockery, which is very unpleasant to deal with, and it takes a toll on you over time. In some cases, they will attack things that matter to you. Your livelihood.
Who cares that you couldn't find a parking spot? Who cares that you bought this kind of orange juice? I was like,
Right.
So how is that person ever going to function in the adult world where there's actually real responsibilities and nobody wants a play-by-play of your life?
It took me a long time to figure out vlogging before I started doing it. And a lot of people, it's not about entertainment necessarily.
Right.
So a lot of my audience, they watch it and they feel like they're hanging out with me.
Okay,
like,
so
and they know that we're not friends, but it
Right.
feels but they like the feeling of maybe hanging out with me, and it's very laid back, and it's
Right.
more about connecting with this person.
I think that this is a very valid point, and it goes to show that this Andrew has a very good character. He can see that what he is doing by putting his life out there, which isn't easy, it's work. By doing this, he's helping people and maybe helping himself. When he feels alone, he can take these videos and feel like he's with other people, and other people are actually involved in this too, because other people are watching it and feeling like they're with him. And when they don't have anybody in their life right now, when they're lonely, they can watch these videos and feel the same connection that he felt as he was taking the video and feeling alone. So this is a very valid point, and it goes to show that he actually is a very caring person. But she refuses to actually see it that way at all. She has to be right.
But then
Also,
it's
and I'm,
like
reading-
Splenda. It's not really sugar, right? It's like fake because you're not.
Right.
You don't respond to them. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Sometimes I do to their comments. So that's another thing that makes
Right.
YouTube different from Netflix
Right.
and entertainment.
Right, but
So-
I guess where it comes to is in that it raises an interesting sort of
Dr. Ramani is a very quick talker. She's quick to interrupt people. She won't really let people finish a sentence without interrupting them. Right. And so here you can see that she has to contemplate for a second. And what I believe she's contemplating about is, how can I be right? How can I not acknowledge what he just said? And how can I turn it around and make it so that I can belittle him and put him down?
We're at an interesting sort of historical juncture where narcissism is concerned. A lot of what a narcissist is not able to do is engage in what we call a mutual reciprocal relationship, where there's give and take.
Mm-hmm.
I ask you how your day is, and I actually care.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next step in that dance is you ask me about my day.
You really care how my day is
I
going?
actually do. It's in the morning, and I was late, which I felt terrible about.
That's all
so
right.
what have you been doing since you woke up?
Getting ready, and I got coffee. I took Bonnie for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
Just prepping, just looking at my notes.
She implies that a narcissist is incapable of having a two-way conversation where they actually care about how you are and care about what you have to say rather than what they have to say. And he says, you actually care how my day is going. And I think that really because at this point he feels like he's been put down and mocked. And so I think that she knows this. And had she asked him, how is your day going? How are you? How are you feeling right now? It may not be a good answer. And the reason for that is because of her. And she knows this. And so she doesn't ask him ever how he's doing. She doesn't ask him anything that is personal. She asks him very broad, cold questions. Even says at one point, what I normally ask is, any bombs go off? It's like she has a script already written out that she just asks people. Nothing, she doesn't have any kind of real dialogue with another person that is personal and deep. And this is a very shallow conversation, and she wants to use this to exemplify what a normal conversation is.
What time did you get up?
About 8 o'clock.
Is that your usual wake up time?
No, I'm usually a night owl. I'll sleep in.
But this thing was in the morning. Okay,
Yeah.
so you got up early, you got your thing. Everything's really neat and clean,
Yeah.
so I must say. And any, did you have any, I don't know, like I always say, did any bombs go off this morning? Or was it just sort of a normal
Normal day, yeah.
Good. All right.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious about that because I'm curious about you.
Mm-hmm.
And then
So after she asked him the last question, she wouldn't even let him finish it. She answered it for him. Did any bombs go off, or was it just, no, it was just normal? Yeah, okay, good. Because I actually care about you. Like, none of what she just did showed any type of actual concern for him at all. And then she is about to use this instance to further make him feel like he's a narcissist by saying, okay, and now you're supposed to ask me. But before she even can say it, he begins to inquire about her.
Why were you late?
I was late because my
No,
partner
it's
stayed with
LA
me.
traffic, right?
It's LA traffic.
So Andrew just did exactly what an empath or a real empathetic person would do. Despite everything that she just said about him, about vlogging, and despite how she's probably made him feel, he saw that she was uncomfortable. She couldn't answer the question for a second, and he felt uncomfortable because of that. And he throws her a line. He says, it's LA traffic, right? He gives her something to say. He gives her an excuse of why she was late. I don't think that she would extend the same courtesy to him.
I was late because my
No,
partner stayed with
it's LA
me.
traffic, right?
It's LA traffic, and
Yeah.
then I had to get him somewhere, but I wanted to see him off because he's leaving for a few days, and so I wanted to have a moment. I thought, oh, easy, I'll get you off by 8:45. I'll get to Hollywood by 9, and I was just this holy wall of traffic. And I thought, and then I realized another road was closed, and then there were nothing.
And then there were nothing.
The road was closed, and then there were
Yeah.
nothing. And this is not a part of town I drive in the morning, so I didn't know the rhythms as well, and so that's why that happened.
It can be very difficult for someone who's narcissistic to actually take responsibility for their own actions. So you can see that here she's making a lot of excuses, and she even says, so that's why that happened. Not that's why I was late. That's why that happened.
And I
That's
felt terrible.
That's totally fine. Like, you're doing me a favor.
Well, I
So,
appreciate that, but you see, that dance of conversation is what my concern is. That, for example, if someone's a vlogger,
He just excused her bad behavior, let it go and said it's totally fine. And she completely dismisses it. She dismisses his apology and she wants to again jump right back into putting him down. And she thinks that this conversation was an example, especially on her part, of what a normal conversation would look like. But I would argue that this conversation was a perfect example of a conversation with a quote unquote narcissist.
It's totally fine. Like, you're doing me a favor.
Well, I
So,
appreciate that. But you see, that dance of conversation is what my concern is, that, for example, if someone's a vlogger or it's a one-sided conversation. So in other words, then you're really sort of peering into someone else's life versus engaging them and
Right.
both of you getting needs met. Then you don't get practiced in that, because that's a
Yeah.
skill, to have the give and take of a human relationship.
So you think people that watch vlogs, it's unhealthy?
I think if they overwatch, if it becomes a substitute for real human relationships, yes.
course.
If it's a compliment, no.
This entire time she's been trying to argue her point, and now she's actually confirming exactly what he said in the very beginning. And then she realizes that, and you'll see she begins to go back into being very condescending.
I mean, I think then it may be a form of entertainment in a way. It may be again, this is where I as a psychologist have to suspend disbelief and say,
Yeah.
maybe.
Again, she has to make sure that she points out her authority on the situation, and instead of just ever acknowledging when somebody else has a good point or when somebody else is right, she has to twist everything and just continue to spew out words to keep the conversation going in a circle so that she can end up feeling like she won the argument rather than just actually having a normal conversation.
Again, this is where I as a psychologist have to suspend disbelief and say,
Yeah.
maybe. So then my concern becomes then, as people get older, when it comes down to the brass tacks and the heavy lifting, for example, of caregiving, parenting, taking care of older adults, like older parents who get sick, that requires, I mean, parenting is nothing but an hourly sacrifice, if not a minute by minute sacrifice, for 20 years at a time for each child, right? If a person's so used to the quick dopamine hit of watching a vlog and then going and doing what they wanting, they're going to be really frustrated as parents, where it's all give and no take. But
Also,
then it's
and I'm,
like
like, reading-
Splenda. It's not really sugar, right? It's like fake, because
Right.
you don't respond to them. See, that's what I'm talking about.
This to me doesn't really make sense. She's saying that it's a one-sided conversation and it's all, you're not getting anything out of it if you're on the side of the viewer. You're not actually getting that human connection. And now she's saying, well, you need that. You need to be able to give your attention to someone and not get anything out of it, and you have to be okay with that. Well, isn't that what they're practicing doing by watching these videos? I would argue that watching the videos could be very beneficial for a parent who is watching a young child and can play these videos in the background while they're with their child, and they can feel a camaraderie with their peers while still being able to be present with their child. This could be actually very helpful.
That concerns me
So
for a
I'm
whole
gonna
new
I'm
generation.
gonna be a shitty parent.
Unless you clean up your act.
Let's see.
Another example of her making him feel uncomfortable, and you can see the look on her face is that of satisfaction. She is very comfortable with him, with his discomfort. She likes it. She enjoys it. She wants to make him feel bad. That's not normal.
Can you spot narcissists without personally knowing them?
I can, but like I'm almost like a big game hunter who can like hear something in the bushes a mile away. Normally, no, because.
Do you think I am?
I'm getting to know.
Here is a perfect example of narcissistic delusion, thinking that you're better than you really are. Here she's making a very bold claim that she can do something, and then in the very next breath, she has to admit that she can't actually do
Can you
it.
spot narcissists without personally knowing them?
I can.
Do you think
but,
I am?
I'm getting to know you. Like I think that you're very. I was trying to determine when I came in
You're
where
very
you're
arrogant.
shy.
Here's another perfect example of what a person with a lot of empathy would do. He accidentally calls her out by saying, "Do you think I am?" Because she just made this very bold claim about how she's a big game hunter, he thinks that she's going to be able to tell him whether or not he is one, because she's like, the best at it. And her answer proves that she can't, and that's really embarrassing. And she doesn't really seem to acknowledge that, but he can feel the discomfort, and so he does what an empath would do, and he sacrifices himself and his dignity and gives her an out to call him arrogant. He says, "Do you think I am?" And then she's like, "Oh, I'm getting..." He says, you're very arrogant." He's giving her the okay to call him arrogant. And he's giving her the answer. And allowing her to make him look bad rather than herself. Whereas, in fact, she's the arrogant one. And what she just did was extremely arrogant and embarrassing, and she should acknowledge that, but she refuses to because she can't really allow herself to see her own fault.
I was trying to determine when I came in,
you're
were
very
you
arrogant,
shy? Were you shy? Because you also felt a little distant, and like tentative, if you will. Like you're not super warm and extroverted when you first meet you by any stretch. And so, you're not that guy.
Well, my thing is the king of awkward, before I did these pranks, Right,
and yet when you smile and you laugh, you warm up so quickly, like you turn into someone entirely different, really sweet and lovely. And so I can see it's a definite
That's my charm,
change. But there's a defense to you, and
there's a defense to you. I think that she feels offended because he's challenging her.
And that's in a narcissist, that's not uncommon. It's also not uncommon in someone who's depressed or who's socially anxious.
It's also not uncommon when a truth teller and a truth seeker is in the presence of someone who's manipulative and feeding them a bunch of bullshit.
The whole range of things. So what you might do is go doing a little trolling with them and seeing, can they muster up empathy? Are they entitled? Let's put it this way. When I told you that I was running late this morning, Andrew, you could have said, you know what? I'm a very busy YouTube guy. You said...
It seemed like she was being nice, but now the way that she's saying this, it is very condescending. I'm a very busy YouTube guy. Like, what?
I value my time.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's not do this at all, or let's just do it at a day that is better for me. And in fact, I had even missed it on Wednesday because I'd had a patient emergency. So you didn't do that. That was a good sign, because had you done that, like really taken sort of a diva sort of position with me, you would have been well within your rights. We made an appointment and I didn't honor it. However, entitlement would have been your if you had that kind of a reaction, I don't think I would have wanted.
Entitlement would be when you had to cancel last minute on somebody, and then the next time you had an appointment with them, you were extremely late, and then they tell you that they need to reschedule now because they're busy at this point, and you refuse to do business with them because they decided to challenge you and stand up for themselves. I mean, this just proves my theory that she just labels anybody who challenges her, anybody who stands up to her and stands up for themselves, as a narcissist. She just perfectly described exactly how a narcissist chooses their victims. They choose people who will bow down and back down. If they are treated badly and disrespected by a narcissist, and they respond with confidence and say, look, you can't treat me this way, they won't do business with you. So let's take out the word salad and listen to what actually she just said.
When I told you that I was running late this morning, Andrew, you could have said, I value my time. You know what? Let's not do this at all, or let's just do it at a day that is better for me. And in fact, I had even missed it on Wednesday. If you had that kind of a reaction, I don't think I would have wanted to do business with you.
But I am trying to get something out of you.
Yes, you are. I'm serving you.
So I'm being smart by not doing that.
You are being smart by not doing that, but a narcissist may not even be able to hold back on that. Does that make sense? Like they're so convinced.
They're kind of impulsive.
Impulsive, but also so convinced are they of how important they are that even though you're saying, oh, I'm getting something from her, so I better not react like that, your entitlement could still be that kind of a reaction. I don't think I would have wanted to do business with you. Also, so convinced are they of how important they are that even though you're saying, oh, I'm getting something from her, so I better not react like that, your entitlement could still have overridden that.
How do I know if someone's being a narcissist or just as a confident
You
person?
know, watch really how circumspect they are. That they can be confident. Like I can say to you, I'm a really, really good psychologist. I really am. Like I'm good at what I do. But I'm always aware there's tons to learn. I go to lots of extra classes. I do tons of extra reading. And I know that I don't know everything, and I don't claim to be an expert.
She never actually really said anything negative about herself. She said, I'm a really, really good therapist. I really am. But I'm always aware that there's tons to learn. Yeah, that's stating the obvious. That's still not saying anything negative about yourself. And then she follows that, because that is too much for her. She follows that with, but I'm going to night classes, and I always go to classes, and I'm constantly studying, and I'm, it's like, that's nothing. She never said anything bad about herself. The worst thing she said was that she doesn't know everything. And that's obvious. Nobody knows everything. She had to stop herself because she's like, I don't claim to be an expert.
I know that I don't know everything, and I don't claim to be an expert. Like, for example, I don't know much about certain disorders, so I would refer those cases out, and step away, because it's like sort of stay in your lane kind of thing. So it's that ability to know what you know, but also know what you don't know. People who are falsely or narcissistically confident, they'll sort of claim to be this overarching expert, like I'm the best, 100% of my stuff.
Can you spot narcissists without personally knowing them?
I can, but like I'm almost like a big game hunter who can like hear something in the bushes a mile away. Normally, no.
You think I am?
I'm getting to know, like,
You think all the social media is enhancing all the narcissists?
I do, because it's a tool to mainline validation. You don't even have to go through the headaches of getting to know someone. You can just have people like your stuff with no other interaction.
There's a spectrum though, right?
Yeah, of course.
Everyone's a little narcissist.
I would say, I don't even like the word healthy narcissism, because
She's incapable of admitting that someone can display narcissistic behavior without actually being a bad person. They can be empathetic but be in conflict with somebody and display these kinds of behaviors without necessarily being a bad person in their everyday life.
Because narcissism in and of itself really speaks to not caring about another person. I think there's a healthy need for validation. Everybody likes to be told you're pretty, you're nice, you did it. What a nice YouTube world you've created here, Andrew, because it is actually really cool. It's amazing, actually.
It's fun.
Your videos, I really enjoyed seeing your videos. Like, people want to hear, I love, if I write something, people say, Ramani, that's great. But when it comes down to brass tacks, I have to feel like I wrote something good. From there on in, everything has to be the icing on the cupcake. But you got to be the cupcake. You cannot count on other people to build that whole thing up. Narcissism is the idea that your self-esteem can only be good, if you will. You can only really almost exist if other people validate you.
Let's hear what she's actually saying without all the extra word salad. What is she actually saying?
If I write a book and try to sell a book, nobody wanted to read what I had to say, bummer, but I could step back and say, this was one hell of a book. The world either gets it or they don't. Because narcissism in and of itself really speaks to not caring about another person.
So in her own words, it's not caring about what other people think. Narcissism is about inflating your own ego constantly. And so if other people don't like what you do or say, if you're a narcissist, then you will disregard their opinion and just base your opinion off yourself and say, oh, well, no, this is one hell of a book, even though nobody likes it and everybody has this opinion. I'm not going to consider anybody's opinion about me if it doesn't inflate my ego. That's narcissistic, and that's what she's actually describing as what she does.
Narcissist is like a piece of chocolate cake. The first few bites are great, and then you start to feel sick. That's what it's like with a narcissist. The first few forkfuls are just magnificent. They're charming and handsome, and fun. And then after you eat the whole cake, you're like, oh, I don't feel well. Like, I don't eat the whole cake. So great for a one-night stand. Great for a fling. Go off to Paris with them for 2 weeks. You should almost put an expiration date on a relationship with a narcissist. Like, go into your iPhone and say, I'm going to break up with this person on November 15th. Like, much as like you'd have a dentist appointment. And just let it run its term and get the hell out of Dodge.
So her advice is, when you label somebody a narcissist, somebody who you can't tell how they actually feel inside, you have no idea, you label them a narcissist and then you treat them like that, you have a one-night stand with them, you trick them into going on a vacation with you and use them to pay for things for you, and then set a timer on your phone of when to just leave them and get the hell out of Dodge. Wouldn't that be something that a narcissist would do to somebody, is use somebody for parties and stuff and then just completely just throw them away like they're nothing? So this is where I'm just going to end it. This kind of idea that it's me against them, and the failure to try to teach people to open up their mind and see outside themselves, but rather instead to teach people to judge other people and then treat them accordingly, is so flawed and so wrong. And it creates a dynamic that is a cycle. It's back and forth, you're the narcissist, no, you're the narcissist, no, you're the narcissist. And in the end, you become the person who you hate. You become the personality that you despise.
I think I can't think. I'm so tired, but I can't sleep. I don't know the day of the week. I'm alive, but I'm not free. Whatever you tell me to do, I'll follow you. Wherever I go, whatever I do, I keep losing focus. My mind is rendered hopeless to their hocus pocus potion, but I can't help but notice the way they use hypnosis to impose their motives. You already know that I keep losing focus. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Here I losing. I could use to win one, just lose. I pray in admiration to the creator of all creation. I think I can't think. I'm so tired, but I can't sleep. I don't know what to believe. I'm a liar, I am a freak. We look to these things, all these creeds, they're not what they seem. Both you know and I know that we both have idols. You bow your head down to your iPhone. You think that's alright though? Go read your Bible. It says not to again and again like a cycle. That's probably the reason that we all have demons. You know they're there though you can't see them, but you're feeling drained, relationship strained. You're lonely, confused, and you feel the pain. That's just what they do to get inside you through your devices that you gotta use. But maybe you're fine and nothing feels wrong. You don't relate to the words of this song. Then I'm sorry to say it's probably too late. Your chance probably